Continuing our reading in Poppy's Return by Avi, today is chapter 17 called Poppy's Return. When Poppy discovered that Junior and Mephitis were not where she had left them, she was annoyed. First, she thought they had simply wandered off. Only after considerable time had passed without their showing up did it occur to her that they might have gone ahead. The thought of those rude youngsters bursting upon the family without her being there to soften the way caused her considerable unease. Then the notion came that they might have decided to return to the snag. Yes, it was what she had wanted, but Junior and Mephitis were much too young to be traveling alone through the forest. Regardless, they should have told her what they were doing. "How inconsiderate," she cried. "Why must Junior make so many problems?" The next moment her frustration turned to anger. "Bother on him," she said. "I can't wait about. If he's gone off, that's his problem. I hope he did go back to the snag." With that, Poppy jumped into the creek and gave herself another scrubbing to get rid of any stink remains. She reached the other side by wading and swimming, and then scrambled up the high bank, where she could see for some distance. "Oh my," she exclaimed as she gazed upon the view that lay before her. There, in one great prospect, were the old orchard, Gray House, Tar Road, and beyond, Bannock Hill. The setting of her entire early life, all there. With this sight came an unexpected rush of memories and emotions that had her giggling one moment. They had played hide and seek endlessly right there. Cousin Basil had been caught in some brambles there. While the next moment she was ready to burst into tears, for at the top of Bannock Hill was where her beloved Ragweed had died. Her strong emotions took her completely by surprise. "Oh, why?" she heard herself thinking. "Did I have to stay away so long?" The answer came just as quickly. "Because I'm not what I was, and they won't understand." Poppy had to sit down. "Think good thoughts," she urged herself. "It will be fun to visit. It will. Well," she added ruefully, "mostly." Only after some moments had passed did Poppy notice that sitting off to one side of Gray House was a yellow bulldozer, huge and powerful. It was not moving, but just sitting there. Lily had told her that everyone was sure it was poised to crush the house. How horrifying. No wonder a red flag was flying from the roof. Where would the family go? "Thank goodness I have a safe place to live," Poppy reminded herself. Poppy knew she had lingered long enough. She had to get on. Taking a deep breath, she told herself to be brave, even as she wondered what in the world she needed to be brave about. It was her own home, her own family she was visiting. Really. She stood up. "Why are my legs feeling so weak?" and started for Gray House, her heart pounding hard. "Oh, you silly mouse," Poppy cried out loud. "Stop this foolishness. It shouldn't take courage to visit your own family." Yet her next thought was, "Oh, but it does." Even so, Poppy plunged in among the high grasses, which meant she momentarily lost sight of the house. Knowing the way as if she had last walked it a day ago, she pressed on. What Poppy did not know was that her path took her just a few feet from where Mephitis and Junior lay napping. She saw no sign of them. Poppy had almost reached the end of the orchard when she came upon a cluster of lady slippers. The flowers, delicate, purple, pink, white, and blue, stirred gently in the calm afternoon sun, shedding the sweetest of perfumes. Poppy gazed at them. She always had loved them so. How much she would have liked to share them with her family, but they could never grow in the dim light of the forest. Suddenly Poppy felt a powerful longing for Rye, so steady, so kind, and so loving. And the children, how much she missed them. The next moment Poppy was hardly aware of what she was doing. She pulled a flower down, plucked it, and began to dance. Her steps were slow, and because she was out of practice, not particularly graceful. but her old desire to dance in the vibrant music that filled her heart was as strong as ever. As she did, her mind flooded with the thought, "Oh, I do love being alive." She stopped abruptly. "Poppy," she scolded herself, "you are being ridiculous. You are the mother of 11. With a self-deprecating snort, she tossed the flower away, only to regret her gesture. She ran to retrieve it and nuzzled the supple petals by way of asking forgiveness. Then she laid the flower down with humble reverence. "Silly mouse," she said out loud, giggled, and gave herself a hug. Now she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Grey House loomed before her. She stopped and considered it. It seemed smaller than she remembered, and much more dilapidated, truly a wreck. "Hello there," came a voice. Poppy started. For a moment she couldn't speak to the mouse who stood before her. "May I be of some help?" began the other mouse. He gasped. "Good gracious!" he cried. "It's Poppy! Don't you recognize me? It's Basil!" "Basil!" screamed Poppy, and she threw her paws about her favorite cousin. Then came a torrent of questions and statements. Both of them talked simultaneously. "How are you?" "You look good." I am so happy to see you." "It's been so long." "You don't know how often I've thought of you." "Why have you never visited?" Are you happy?" No, it's you I want to talk about." "No, I'm so glad to see you." You've hardly aged at all." "Neither have you." You should have sent word." "How is your family?" "Tell me everything you've been doing. What's new? What's old? You must meet my husband." "You must meet my wife." "You must meet my... You look wonderful." "Oh, it's so exciting to see you." Who said what or when, and what might have been answers or questions or statements, neither knew, neither cared, neither bothered to know. And besides, it did not really matter, not one bit. No, not at all. For when they had gone through all of that, they started right in again with the same questions, the same answers, only perhaps a little slower, and perhaps a few new answers were slipped in, though neither cared to explain much about their own lives, in their rush to find out everything about the other. That accomplished, or at least partly accomplished, they hugged each other yet again, and laughed and cried. At last Poppy said, "Lily came and told me things were not good here. That's why I came. Basil, is it really true?" "Actually, life is pretty much as it was when you left," said Basil. "Except Lungwort is quite a bit older. Not his old self. We are very crowded, and there's that." He nodded to the bulldozer. "When will it happen?" asked Poppy. "No one knows for sure," said Basil. "Probably soon. That makes us all jumpy, but we can talk about that later. Let's get to the house. We knew, or at least we hoped, you were coming. Everybody's dying to see you." Poppy grinned. They hurried toward the house. Now Poppy met first one relative, and then another and another. Everywhere she was greeted with excitement and warmth and hugs and caring questions. "Hey, Poppy, so glad to see you. Where have you been? How have you gone so long?" she heard over and over again. By the time she reached the steps to Grey House, so many well-wishers and greeters surrounded her. It was hard to keep going. In the midst of it all, Poppy, feeling so very happy, could hear herself thinking, "Why was I ever worried?" Then she looked up. There was sweet Cicely. She was standing right next to Lungwort, supporting him, really. Oh my. The two had aged a good deal. But as always, her father had his thimble cap on his head. He was looking very stern, and he was saying, "Oh, there you are, Poppy. What's taking you so long, Mouse? Come along now. There are urgent things to decide." In an instant, it was exactly as it had been before. Her stern, pompous father telling her, a rather timid little mouse, what to do. Lungwort spoke as if time had not passed, as if life had not changed. "But it has," thought Poppy, as she stared forward. "It has." And that's the end of chapter 17.